Hi, good day. I am Angel Joy G. Villacorta, and today I will be sharing to you about connectivism. Let us be guided with these goals. Define connectivism, familiarize the history of connectivism, illustrate connectivism through the relation of nodes and links, identify the principles of connectivism, relate connectivism in the ELT classroom, and share the pros and cons of connectivism. Then, let us define now connectivism. Connectivism has emerged in recent years that is particularly relevant to the digital society. According to Siemens in 2004, connectivism is a theoretical framework driven by the understanding that information is a network continually being acquired and updated. Connectivism is a relatively new learning theory that suggests students should combine thoughts, theories, and general information in a useful manner. Learning could be perceived as a lifelong process, and because new knowledge is constantly being obtained, the capacity to distinguish between what is necessary and what is not is critical for learning. Connectivism accepts that technology is a major part of the learning process and that our constant connectedness gives us opportunities to make choice about our learning. Teaching with technology can deepen student learning by supporting instructional objectives in this digital era. Learners can learn on their own and update their knowledge utilizing free resources even when they are not in the classroom. Nodes and connections. Let us understand connectivism through the metaphor of a network with nodes and connections, or simply nodes and links. In this picture, learners are seen as nodes in a network. A node is referred to any object that can be connected to another object like a book, web page, person, or etc. In connectivism, it is the collections between all the nodes in a network that result in new forms of knowledge. According to Siemens in 2004, knowledge is created beyond the level of an individual human participants and is constantly shifting or changing. In this picture, the learners, which is referred as nodes, can be connected to learning content, learning context, learning technologies. Then, these learners will eventually come up to a new learning concepts or ideas of what they have learned, and they can further share to others, and connectivism takes place. To further illustrate, let us have this example. A learner might be getting information from a web or any other external networks, and with this, he has now learned concepts, updated knowledge about a certain topic, then he can now share to his peers. Same way, these peers will also be learning new things from the learner, and the process goes along. This indeed tells that learning does not simply happen when an individual, but within and across networks. Now, let us have a short glimpse of how it started and who are the persons behind this learning theory. George Siemens. He is one of the proponents of this connectivism. Connectivism was first introduced in 2004 on a blogspot which was later published as an article in 2005. Later, it was expanded by two publications, Siemens, Connectivism, Learning as Network Creation, and Stephen Downes, An Introduction to Connective Knowledge. These two publications address the important role of technology plays in the learning process and how the digital age has increased the speed at which students have access to information. Siemens and Downes have continued to write and speak on the subject. However, each has slightly different viewpoints. While Siemens tends to focus on the social aspects of connectivism, Downes focuses on non-human appliances and machine-based learning. Now, let us watch George Siemens' overview on connectivism.
I started blogging in the late 90s, early 2000s. And as I was blogging, I found I had a very different relationship with other people and with knowledge than what I had had when I was learning in a classroom or a university program. The biggest difference I found was the way in which people are aware of one another while they're learning, and the way in which they connect and build and improve. And so somebody has an idea on a blog over here. I read about it, I write a post that incorporates some of those ideas, but try to expand and add my own perspective. I post, someone else comes by and takes some of those bits and pieces and expands it and augments and so on. We could say at a very broad level, that's exactly what science has done. This notion of combinatorial creativity, right? That we connect knowledge, we build, we grow, we advance. But at that point, it was more, for me, it was a very odd experience. As I mentioned, it was at Red River College, and so I was involved in a training, or in my interactions with faculty. I was one of the few folks in the system at that time that was very active around trying to find new ways to teach with technology. But I found online, all of a sudden, there was a rich group of blogs and colleagues from other universities, other systems, and not just in Canada or US, but globally. There were some fascinating things going on in the space. And so my learning in that setting wasn't the instructivist way. It wasn't necessarily a purely self-regulated way either, where I was taking books out of the library and reading them or reading journals and so on. Instead, it was really a social connected process of learning. And that's what eventually resulted in a paper I did in 2004, where I argued that in a networked world, learning is a network forming process. Knowledge is a networked product. So when we are knowledgeable, it essentially is a reflection how we've connected concepts and ideas over a period of time. Now, getting a little bit more detail, this happens at three distinct levels. So on the one hand, literally at a biological level, learning is a network forming process. Neurons firing, neurons connecting. If we move that up one level, and this is a big level to move up on actually, but at the same level, networked learning consists of taking concepts and forming conceptual connections. So as we get a new idea, we connect it to what we already know, and that rounds out our perspective and often deepens our understanding. And at the final level is one that we're all quite familiar with actually, but that's networked learning through external social spaces. We might use tools like Twitter or Facebook or any number of future to emerge network tools. We might just be connected through our mobile devices, staying in, if we have a question, say we're a salesperson in the workforce, we have a question, we can text colleagues or those kinds of activities. But that's where the social systems and the technology systems that are now part of human knowledge, more and more part of human knowledge, become a part of our overall capacity to.
So that was Siemens' overview on connectivism. Here are the 8 principles of connectivism as identified by Siemens and Downs. First, learning and knowledge rests in diversity of opinions. As teachers, we need to assist students comprehend that there are various points of view of knowledge, and that knowledge is found in the synthesis of these points of view. Second, learning is a process of connecting special nodes or information sources. New discoveries are always around the corner when data is free and open. A core literacy skill today is the ability to connect information sources to get a new or more complete view on any given subjects. We need to assess our students comprehend that there are many different sources of information and how to access, assess, and connect them. Principle number 3. Learning may reside in non-human appliances. In this digital age, teachers are not necessarily the only source of information. Learners can easily acquire information from websites and other gadgets. Today, students can learn on their own with the help of a technology. As a result, we as teachers must assess students in learning how to access data sources, analyze them, and extract knowledge from them. Fourth, capacity to know more is more critical than what is known. Siemens in 2005 here is not talking about knowing more of what one already knows or already thinks one knows, but rather using this wealth of information and knowledge to critically examine what they know, and why they think they know it. The capacity is to know more for the sake of comprehension and application, not only for the sake of knowing more. So as teachers, we must teach our learners how to become independent learners and how to locate and analyze additional information. Fifth, nurturing and maintaining connections is needed for continual learning. In order to enhance their knowledge, we need to aid students in developing personal learning networks and allowing them to collaborate within those networks. Sixth, ability to see connections between fields, ideas, and concepts is a core skill. Connectivism starts to bring the theory into focus. The application for students then, we need to help students see the connections and relationships between fields of information and their influence and impact on each other. Seventh, accurate, up-to-date knowledge is the aim of all connectivist learning. In today's fast-paced information environment, this principle focuses on how to keep knowledge current, correct, and up-to-date. 8. Decision-making is a learning process. What we know today may change tomorrow, and the right decision today may be wrong decision tomorrow. Things are constantly changing, information is constantly being released, updated, analyzed, or created. So making decisions about what to learn, when to learn it, and from whom to acquire it is a skill that can be developed. Abik, Ajon, and Inshas in 2012 asserted that to advance the quality of instructional practice, educators used a variety of learning theories such as cognitivism, constructivism, and behaviorism. Abik et al. In 2012 suggested that the pre-technology learning theories were no longer valid. Due to implementation of new forms of e-learning, online and distance learning, connectivism should be adopted wherever possible. In a connectivist viewpoint, the new learning responsibilities shift from the teacher to the learner. Unlike traditional teaching methods and other theories like constructivism or cognitivism, the educator's job is to guide students to become effective agents for their own learning and personal development. Connectivism relies heavily on technology, so the first step to creating a connectivist classroom is to introduce more opportunities for digital learning like online courses, webinars, social networks, and blogs. So here, how can connectivism be employed in the ELT classroom? Connectivist theory requires an abundance in which course content is created and shared with others, dialogue and negotiation occur and experience is expanded through dialogue as a result of sharing and exchange with a set of connections. The sharing of information is through dialogues in which is a huge help for the learners to develop communication. Supplementary materials that promote collaboration, dialogue, and negotiation with peers increase motivation and social communication through an interaction of individual and network variables as they incorporate learning and social communication abilities for foreign language learning. This shows how learning analytics is essential for enhancing learning of individuals within the network society. And this is according to Scoffen and Magnus in 2012. According to the study of Susudoglu et al. 2019, there are numerous kinds of application which can be considered as Web 2.0 technology and they are already being used in educational settings. Commonly and well-used applications are Wiki or Wikipedia, blogs or Blogger, short text messaging or Twitter, social bookmarking, Delicious, social networks such as Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, and Edmodo, media sharing services such as YouTube, Flickr, SlideShare, and podcasting, the Apple University. For this study, one of the social network tool, Edmodo, was used as an online communication tool. Online platforms increase motivation for language learning. Significantly, massive open online courses have become a solution for the connectivist learning process, which incorporates language learning and ICT integration in the learning process, according to Alpini et al. 2017. Some studies reveal that social media or social networking provides benefits for language learning purposes and thus providing a considerable contribution to learners to learn language more effectively as it serves friendly and relaxing environment. So let us proceed now to the pros and cons of connectivism. Connectivism has both benefits and drawbacks or criticisms. Let's first discuss the advantages. Connectivism creates collaboration. Connectivism defines learning as a collaborative process in which peers connect and share their opinions, viewpoints, and ideas. It empowers students and teachers. The responsibility for learning is shifted from the teacher to the learner in connectivism. It is the learner's responsibility to design their own learning experience, create learning ecologies, shape communities, and release learners into the environment, according to Siemens 2003. It embraces diversity. It is inclusive to all people. Individual viewpoints and diversity of opinions are supported by connectivism, which theorizes that there is no hierarchy in the value of information. This encourages creativity and better education by allowing people with different points of view to work together to find solutions. Some of the criticisms of connectivism are the following. Plan Verhagen argued that connectivism is rather a pedagogical view, not a learning theory. Verhagen believes connectivism to be relevant on a curricular level as it speaks to what people should learn and the skills they develop. Another thing is, Bill Kerr offered also a limited support on three criteria. Connectivism does not contribute to a theory or learning reform due to its use of language and slogans that are sometimes correct, but are too generalized to guide a new practice at the level of how learning actually happens. The second one is connectivism does not contribute to a general world outlook, but we already have theories and manifestos for that view. Third, connectivism misrepresents the current state of established alternative learning theories such as constructivism, behaviorism, and cognitivism. So this basis for a new theory is also dubious. Whatever criticisms may arise towards connectivism, let us remember these points. Connectivism is a theoretical framework for understanding learning in a digital age. Internet technologies contributed to new avenues of learning, and learning does not simply happen within the individual, but within and across the networks. That would be all. Thank you for watching.